Look familiar? This is the newest iPhone. This is the iPhone SE. It looks familiar because it's the iPhone 5's body with all the same features from the iPhone 6s. So it's this 4-year-old flagship on the outside and an 8-month-old flagship on the inside. And with this phone, Apple is basically answering the call for a small flagship smartphone. All the high-end phones these days are big, phones do a lot, screens got bigger, and I see it in the comments all the time, like people talking about it on Twitter. What's the best small smartphone you can get that doesn't make any compromises? It would be cool to see more of those. Well, this phone is definitely small, so it looks like it's kind of trying to fill those shoes. So yeah, it really is the iPhone 5 and 5S body in all its rectangular chamfered glory. The 5S was my first iPhone ever, so I kind of liked this squarish design. It's definitely easier to hold with those flat sides than the round iPhones we have now. I still would have liked to have seen a new design though, for a brand new compact phone in 2016 instead of a recycled one, but this is what we got. So the only way you could tell you have an iPhone SE and not an iPhone 5 is the rose gold color, or that little SE badge on the back, which apparently stands for Special Edition. That's it. Otherwise, it looks exactly the same, unless you add any skin or case to it, of course. I'll link this one below. But when I first got the SE out the box, I'd been using, big phones for the past few years, so seeing a tiny phone that just gets swallowed up in my hands was like, nope, no way. No way I could use this phone every day and do all the same stuff that I'm used to doing on a bigger screen. But it actually turned out to be not that bad thanks to the high-end specs, and now I feel like I want to see more high-end, smaller Android phones too. First of all, a smaller phone makes it easier, especially for people with small hands, to reach all 4 corners of the display, and that's important to be able to do that without adjusting your grip. It's comfortable, so it's great for all those top left corner buttons in iOS. And then the smaller phone is just generally easier to handle. It's less phone in the pocket, less in the hand when you're on a call. It's also a little bit lighter. I just kind of started getting used to it like I got used to bigger phones. But there are definitely downsides though. The display is the biggest one, or I guess the smallest one. This is still the 4-inch Retina display from the iPhone 5, so 1136 by 640. And when you're sub 720p, you can never quite match the viewing experience or the gaming experience or anything of a phone with a big display and front-facing speakers, no matter how good the performance is. But I'm happy to report that performance is not a problem at all. The iPhone SE, like I mentioned, has most of the same features from the newest iPhone, so including the specs. So you get an A9 chip and 2 GB of RAM for a low-res display. So basically performance is a breeze here, everything is smooth, multitasking is great, that's what you would expect. And the camera upgrade is also from the iPhone 6s, so a new 12-megapixel sensor and a slightly smaller aperture has this taking very similar photos and 4K videos to the iPhone 6s. Now there's no optical image stabilization, but everything else is on point. The autofocus is super quick, there's a quick shutter that you're used to from other iPhones. I'll go right ahead and say this is the best camera in a small smartphone, so it's got that going for it. And the front-facing camera unfortunately didn't get the same upgrade treatment, so you're getting a pretty weak 1.2 megapixel shooter here. It's not awful, but sorry, selfie people. And there's other little things that just set it back a little bit, like it has Touch ID, but it's the older first-gen Touch ID, so it feels just a little bit slower. And there's no force touch pressure sensitivity, again, from the newer iPhones, so no force touching shortcuts, and stuff like live photos uses a long press instead. Now, I think, again, if Apple had designed a new small iPhone for 2016, they'd have both of those things. They'd have the new Touch ID and force touch. But again, since they recycled the old body, there's not quite enough room for that. And there you have it. It's pretty much everything you need to know about using an iPhone SE. The one thing that surprised me actually was battery life. It is a small phone, and it does have a small 1642 milliamp hour battery, but the life is actually very good. And I guess I'd attribute that to the A9 chip. Everything else fell right in line where I expected. It's just a really freaking small phone. So for $400, should you buy it? It's not for everyone, that's for sure. Plus, you're only getting 16 gigabytes at that price, and I'd pretty much never tell anyone to buy a 16 gig phone. So for $500 or $600, you'd have to really want a small phone. After using it for a while, especially for reachability, I kind of get the desire for smaller phones. Not saying I could personally do it forever, it's just not my thing, but I get it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.